Hey there, West Michigan meteorologist Will Haney here, jumping on the stream. It is 9:35. I apologize. This is running a little late this evening. I know Keith likes to hop on here a little closer to about 9 o'clock. Juggling a few things this evening. That's why I'm a little later. But one of those big things is Hurricane Melissa, which continues to just be a monster storm in the Caribbean tonight. So we're going to touch on that here in a little bit and talk about what they're going to be facing in Jamaica. And it's not going to be a good situation. It's just definitely one of those storms where you look at it on satellite and it just kind of puts a pit in your stomach as a meteorologist, because there's just, at this point, like all you can do at this point is just like pray that the people are heeding the warnings and taking the storm seriously. I'll bring in this live look in South Haven. We'll get to Melissa here in just a few minutes. Wanted to touch first on our forecast and get you the nuts and bolts there. Right now, it's pretty quiet out there. Not quite as cold tonight as we have been the last couple nights. So we still have 49 in Kalamazoo, 46 in Three Rivers, 45 at this hour in Grand Rapids. Clear sky still overhead. There's a weak disturbance that's kind of pushing through Kentucky, Tennessee area right now. You can start to see some of that rain off to our south, but the next system that will actually come into play for our region is this little disturbance that's starting to push kind of out of the Rocky Mountains into the Dakotas. That's a nice little dip in the jet stream that's going to lead to a more impressive weather maker to our south for the middle of the week. So I'll show you this. This is the upper level pattern. This is the, let's see if this works. This is the upper level low. It's been kind of driving our chillier weather over the weekend / today. But high pressure is kind of like sandwiched in between these two things, and that's what's keeping our weather really quiet these next couple days. But this is the low that's, again, bringing some of those showers to the Dakotas. This is going to dig, meaning it's going to drop southeast in the next really day and a half. So as I play this forward Monday into Tuesday, you see just that. And this little bullseye there of green, that's that upper level low, kind of almost closing off somewhat from the jet stream, but it's going to kind of just get kicked around. So you're going to see this kind of movement from this low. It's going to go from here up into the northeastern U.S. from Wednesday into Friday. Now, because it's so far south, it will most of the system rain from this is going to stay well south of us. You can see even on Thursday, that nice dip in the jet stream. Usually your best chances of precip are going to be kind of here, maybe on the northwestern side of that low. We're going to possibly see a shower in like southeastern Michigan, or maybe even some steadier rain by the end of the day Thursday. Whether or not that actually clips us here in West Michigan, I would kind of just to briefly explain, about 2 of the 3 models keep us essentially dry on Thursday. There's one that just barely clips like Calhoun, Branch counties Thursday late in the day. I'm leaning towards most of Thursday is going to be dry. Now, in this wake of this low, this will bring some chillier temperatures down from Canada. So I am pretty confident on that. And just for reference, what I'm talking about is just lows or movement around an area of low pressure is counterclockwise. And that's also true for the upper parts of the atmosphere. So as I attempt to draw some arrows on here, I guess it's not working. It's being weird. What the heck? Anyways, I was trying to draw some arrows, but it's not cooperating. What the heck? Let's see. Well, let me draw some arrows on there. But basically all you need to know is wind is coming out of the north and northwest by Friday. That's going to bring some much chillier temperatures our way. I shouldn't say much chillier, just slightly chillier. And I'll also some lake effect rain chances back. So really nice weather tomorrow and Wednesday. Thursday is where we'll watch for possibly that system rain to clip us. But the bigger story, I think, is going to be some rain showers late in the day into Friday for Halloween. The wind will pick up a little bit these next couple of days. So tomorrow it's going to be a bit more noticeably breezy with wind generally out of the east or the southeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. The afternoon could get a little gusty up to like 30 miles an hour. So if you're trying to get some yard work done, blow the leaves, it might not be as good of a day as the last few have been. Rain chances again increasing, but late Thursday and Friday seems to be the key time frame. And just to highlight again, this is going to be lake effect rain, not snow. but some lake effect rain showers, similar to what we saw last week with that cool air working its way across Lake Michigan. If we were talking about maybe 15 to 20 degrees colder temperatures than what we have in play for Friday, this would be a lake effect something else event, but it's not going to be the case. It's rain mostly farther west. So I would say lakeshore communities, especially Allegan, Van Buren, Western Kalamazoo County, for Friday, you're most likely to see some of the off and on periods of rain. Farther inland, it's not necessarily going to be a washout. I think it's a little less likely you see some of that rain. So I'm forecasting a high around 50 degrees for Halloween itself, which if you can look here, that's just slightly below average. Certainly could be worse. And our low is actually going to be right where it should be. When we look at the last few years, when I say it could be worse, this is just kind of interesting. Last year, we had a really nice Halloween. It was 70 the high. We had just a very sprinkle briefly. 2 years ago, though, we saw a half an inch of snow. And while it's not highlighted here, back in 2019, we also saw snow. So 2 of the last 6 years, we've seen snow on Halloween, which is not super rare necessarily, but definitely not very common either. I would say it's more common we see rain. This is generally kind of a wet and stormy, sometimes windy time of the year. But it certainly is possible this time of year that we start seeing our first lake effect snow or even system snow. So anyways, that's it on our forecast for the most part right now. I'll have the 7-day tonight at 10 and 11. I do want to spend a little bit of time. Oh, one other thing I'll mention is the clocks are going to fall back this weekend in case you haven't heard or need the reminder. This is the good one. It's the better of the two, in my opinion. Neither are great when the clocks change, but it's the better one of the two because unless you have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, such as me, you're going to gain an hour of sleep because the clocks fall back. They spring forward, obviously, in springtime. That's the one where you lose the hour of sleep. This one, gain an hour. Sunrise is going to be at 7:17. I've definitely noticed that. Hard to get out of bed in the morning lately with how late the sun is coming up. So that's what this is really aimed to do. But it also, at the same time, sunset, closer to 5:30. That's the part that's not fun. Yay. Okay, so this is the latest on Melissa. I'll go through kind of what I'm seeing. Hurricane Melissa is a very dangerous storm. It is the strongest storm that's formed this year. Remarkably, it is the 3rd Category 5 hurricane that has happened this year. It's just that the other 2 really did not make any sort of a landfall. They stayed out over the ocean. And so while we have seen some rapid intensification with a couple other storms so far this season, this will be the first one with really catastrophic impacts. The first Category 5, by the way, Aaron, so a little bit earlier in the hurricane season, that was back in August. And then we had Umberto, which also stayed out over the Atlantic back in mid to late, it was like late September into the start of October. So again, this is our 5th Category 5. A lot of folks might be wondering, like, okay, is this climate change? What is this? Climate change and the warming of our climate certainly makes rapid intensification more likely. So these sort of scenarios where we see these like Category 5s rapidly intensify is made more likely by above average sea surface temperatures, which is driven by climate change. So that's just a question I've been kind of seeing percolating on social media. But anyway, so this is Hurricane Melissa on infrared satellite imagery. Those darker reds you're seeing are like colder cloud top temperatures. You can obviously make out the eye there in the center. And just to quickly mention what this is showing you really quick, why I've highlighted those like rings around it, and I can maybe take those off in a second, but that is to show where the diameter of hurricane force winds, so that's 74 mile per hour or stronger winds, are kind of extending towards. So if you're in that ring, likely seeing some 74 plus mile per hour winds, upwards of 175 mile per hour sustained winds in the latest update, with gusts up to 215 miles per hour. This storm was so powerful that in the afternoon flight by the hurricane hunters, the NOAA hurricane hunters, they had to like abort the mission because of how severe the turbulence is, which you're probably thinking like, well, yeah, duh, there's tons of turbulence in a hurricane. And there is, but NOAA hurricane hunters, this is like what they do. And it's not too often. I mean, they are their plane is like built to do that. They're also very seasoned Air Force pilots that are doing that. So it's not common for you to hear them aborting a mission due to turbulence. I just found that very fascinating. The bigger ring is the tropical storm force winds, which tropical storm force winds, that's like a pretty windy day here in West Michigan. That's where we might see like a wind advisory, but that's winds upwards of like 39 miles per hour or stronger. So not quite hurricane, obviously, of 75, which is, as strong as like a severe thunderstorm. But just think if that were on Michigan, that ring would extend from like the lakeshore all the way out to like maybe Marshall area. So it's pretty remarkable when you really think about it, as far as like how widespread that just super intense wind is just circulating around that low. I wish I could just quickly turn those rings off, but I can't. But what I can do is we can zoom in on the eye. The eye doesn't look as, I won't say impressive. It definitely looks impressive, but the eye on visible satellite imagery today was looking just remarkable. You could make out little what we call mesovortices, so small little swirls in the middle of the eye. Yeah, I mean, this thing is just crawling too. So if you look at the movement and the top of the screen, northwest at 2 miles per hour. So it's starting its north and northwesterly turn. It was kind of moving just like slowly west northwest, and now it's going to kind of start to turn a little bit more northerly and eventually like more northeasterly, taking aim at Jamaica in the coming days, really the next 24 hours. So again, this is forecast to remain a Category 5 storm, perhaps a high-end Category 4 storm at landfall, likely landfall kind of on the western half of the Jamaican island. So some of the worst impacts as far as wind are concerned with a hurricane. So hurricanes are low pressure systems, right? So this one, by the way, bottoming out, near 900 millibars now, which is crazy. I am not positive. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure as far as records go, this is, I believe a top 20 like hurricane, low pressure, typhoon, anything on record. One number I saw floating around, don't quote me on it, I think it's like around 11th place, but like I said, I haven't verified that on my own. But I believe I saw that on X a little bit earlier. But anyways, this is going to make landfall tomorrow morning, just kind of crawl across the island. The fact it's moving so slow across Jamaica is very concerning too, because that's just several hours of those like really high winds, torrential rain, storm surge. But with a hurricane, this is just kind of like some basics, but with a hurricane, your worst wind and storm surge is going to be on the right side of that system. So it's not to say that like even Montego Bay, they might get a little bit reverse surge as that storm pushes off to the north. Like on the northwestern part of the island, they could even see, they're going to still see some really significant impacts. But initially, as this storm is moving to the north and northeast, that piles up water on this side of the storm, that like right flank of the hurricane essentially. And so that's where you're going to start to see like the worst impacts right along that coastline. That's where you're going to see the highest surge, the worst wind as well. And like that part of the shoreline is just going to probably be like changed. It's going to be not great. The storm pretty rapidly intensified over the weekend, and it has just maintained its Category 5 strength from earlier in the day. So you can see like from Saturday on, it just was on a like powder keg of growth and intensification. So yeah, it's going to be a harrowing few days for the folks of Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica. I was there on my honeymoon. And I can tell you the people of Jamaica are incredibly positive, incredibly resilient people. I hope they can weather this storm, and it's just going to be, it's as a meteorologist, these storms are not fun to talk about because it's just like, we know the impact that they can do, and it's not great. So this is also just really quickly, I'll show you this. This is the advisory from the National Weather Service from the National Hurricane Center. It says, their advice to Jamaica: remain in your safe shelter, do not venture outside. Catastrophic, life-threatening flash flooding, numerous landslides are expected through Tuesday. Eye walls, destructive winds may cause total structural failure. mean, we're talking wind speeds in excess of 160 miles per hour. I mean, that's like a high end even tornado, you know, like yeah, anyways, it's just crazy. And then I kind of failed to mention, but Haiti and the Dominican Republic, even Cuba, Eastern Cuba, there's going to be impacts beyond just Jamaica as well. Most notably, I think Cuba, there's going to be kind of a secondary landfall. After it slowly crawls across Jamaica, then Cuba is kind of like in line next to see some pretty significant impact. But yeah, I mean, the rainfall potential from NHC, they've been pretty consistent. This bullseye that you see there, I know that's kind of hard to make out, but that's in the 20 to 30 inch range of rainfall. But there could easily be, I think, reports well in excess of that. They even kind of indicated that potential of, you know, isolated areas receiving more than that. So, I mean, that's almost like, in some cases, that's almost like a year's worth of precipitation for us that they're going to see in the next like 48 hours, which is just hard to even wrap your mind around. And then, I mean, that's feet of water. Anyways, so yeah, keep Jamaica in your thoughts and prayers. And I think this will become a just kind of like humanitarian situation. I hope not, you know, I hope for the best, but you know, if you are able to in the coming days, if there are relief efforts or fundraising efforts, I would certainly consider chipping in as best we can. So anyways, that's it. On that cheery note, I will wrap this up, and we'll see it coming up in about 10 minutes on the Arc West Michigan, and then over at 11 on Channel 3. It is myself, Princess, and so we would love it if you join us there, and I'll have a little bit more on Halloween, and possibly, if I can finish the graphic in time, a little bit of an opportunity to check that comet out that you might have heard about, being called Comet Lemon. It's still visible in the northwestern, or in the western sky, a little after sunset each night. So we got a couple more nights where you can maybe check that out. So I'll be touching on that. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care and stay safe to everybody in Jamaica. And if you have family or friends or anyone that you know down there, feel free to shoot me a message. I am so sorry I haven't read a single comment. I forgot to click on the comments over here. But Jeanette, hello. And Carla, Keith, and Melissa, we got the usual suspects in here. Ken, good morning or good evening. Gwen, good evening. And Jesse, hey. Dan, hey. So yeah, you have a blessed night too, Bernice. I appreciate that. Corey, yeah, keep the prayers going for Jamaica, because man, I just feel for the island in the next couple of days. It's gonna be. I'm not looking forward to seeing some of the images that are probably going to come out by the end of the day tomorrow. All right, take care, everybody, and be well.